I panicked and rolled off of the ham back into the claw slap, but the spreads go off just before the claw slap, so I still downed the ham and then also died.
We should
That
go
was our
off.
like 3%, right?
Yeah, it's like the worst possible combination of
And
actions.
then I died to swipe because you killed Hate, who didn't give me a lack, and I didn't have my distort up for the second swipe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was, if I was up, I think we actually might have, maybe that 3% would have been, so that was like, everything bad just happened there.
Yeah.
Just, chain of bad things.
Yep, that's just the start of Suwon P2. That's going to be the struggle for us. Once we get past, I'm really not concerned.
We're struggling with that in the other group too. With the lack of blade sworns, we're actually having trouble killing the Goliath fast enough. But yesterday Narsen ended up switching over to blade sworn, and between him and the Reaper, I think it was enough.
I actually think we could have killed it without the blade sworn. We just don't move out, just commit. And if we get the AoE, we just, then, you know, sad.
Just die. Well, it's like the one time we did kill recently was when I took the stability mantra. Which feels bad, but...
For giants, or for the...
For the champions, like, just for the champions. So I killed, you know, some of my DPS for the whole fight, just for a tiny bit of stability. Because we had none. But now we have a Tempest, so that shouldn't be as bad.
Oh, the other group has a Tempest. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, the other group.
Welcome. Alright, let me get food down and be good to go. Anybody have any questions or concerns before we begin?
Ready, check.
Suwon P2. Should we run around the back to get to the far green?
You do whatever you need to. You can go behind, you can go in front. I thought you said you couldn't join today, Purple. If you want to just chill, then that's fine, but I read your pin and you said, I won't be able to join our runs between August 22nd through 26th in today's... Not August, but October.
Is it a time zone thing, maybe?
I mean, it's still a date.
That's true, yeah, even if it was, it's not like the 23rd or 20th.
You can enter, Linus. But is today a day you can actually show up for a while? You can type in Strikes Chat or whisper me or whatever. I just went by your early message that I pinned. Let me kill this, ready, Chuck? As for your... I mean, it's better to have you here, Furball, and... I mean, it's better to have static members here, so... Okay. So, since Furball can join apparently, I very much appreciate you coming blue. You can stay and I can throw a stream on if you want, but if you have other stuff to do, then thank you very much regardless. You can come in, Furball. But as for your void pool, Noth, that doesn't matter to me. The biggest thing for you is to make sure you're in position and the fact that you have to remember to do it. How you get to your green, I don't care.
Yeah.
I put food down about 1 minute ago. You got that long to come in and grab it. And you guys sorted your Jalas and Ventari stuff. Any other questions or concerns? Alright. You are not responsible for greens, Wolfie. If you would like, you can go and join middle green and Suwon. That's more just to help alleviate a little pressure on the port alerts. There is no port. Effectively for that green, the first one, you just dodge as if you were going to go take the close green for the first one and then just walk to that green. And then for the second one, it's take the portal when it spawns and run to it. He'll stay at star. I can do square. Anything else?
Ready check.
Alright, top group with me. I'd rather have you on X, not move because of quickness. You'll give the most people quickness by being on X. Killing that guy? No, night charge. Green fail on... I think it was just a late getting him.
Might have been me.
Probably. The void pool people getting there pretty... Like, portal verts are already there.
Ready check.
Oh yeah, I have to change options. Oh. Well, we're ready, so. Just mispressed it. Moving back, sorry. I had a bit of an India lag, so my muscle memory betrayed me. Hold a little bit. And you can DPS. Man, my quickness in the lock today I've been hurt so far.
I ran out.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it's just you for some reason. In Mars, what's up? Everyone else is like 98, 99, 100.
Well, for me, I give myself a decent chunk of quickness. I don't know,
I need to add it. How I spam. Need to hold him a little bit. Go. I'll finish it off. Yep. One down power is not enough power. Oscar. One person down for wrestling. Watch out for glute.
That crab. What CC was that? Oh, Great Sword 5.
Spawning in 2, 1. Person low, one person down. Void points. What happened? GG. What happened with the spread? Did somebody get it accidentally?
Oh, like Bjorn didn't get his. Yeah, I'm actually having lag too. I don't think, but it's not showing up as on my stats. It's kind of weird.
Not P or R value?
So what was that?
Both the P and R value are fine?
I don't have that set up. I just see like my actual latency is like just in the Guild Wars 2 stats is, oh, it just jumped up to 400, so never mind. Like every once in a while I just have like a really big delay on a skill use.
It's been fine.
Ready check.
Like just weapon swaps, I guess. Like if I do a weapon swap and press another button, it takes forever.
GG. We're literally at the start, so I may as well.
Ready check.
Oh, I see. You're like off to the left there.
Yeah, I have to go and auto-proc my mine. Damn it.
The lag is getting worse.
It's a hold. And go. Dragon Slash. 3, 2, 1, now. We need to hold. And go. You guys do a good job at holding it. Terrible. Hit the very end. One low, one group. protection was not ripped, it's going to take longer. I won't have as much CC. Watch out. Spawning in 3, 2, 1.
Black will be low. Epic Games like opened up on me in the middle of my rotations now.
Thanks for the heads up. One down. Power resing. We power res through it. Good job. Void pools will have to go out, otherwise we're fine. One down. Where are you?
I fell off.
GG. Is it from the lag that you guys are experiencing? Twitter.com Guild Wars 2. Posts. Oh, I'm not logged in. I don't use Twitter anymore, so I can't actually see recent stuff. There. That was a good job power resing Jade though. That was a good rogue that was placed there as well. Couldn't have done it without him.
Nothing on Twitter from them for 8 hours.
Okay. Where's 2 forums? I have no idea where to even
I think
consider.
there's a decent chance it's a just an internet thing too, because I've been having issues the past week or so on RuneScape.
No, but the thing is that internet or not, there are several people here who are having issues.
Yeah, I mean like routing across the country or whatever.
Nothing on Reddit.
And no more weird virus detection thing.
That's probably what the fix was.
Yeah, last time I didn't update because it was my antivirus was just like, hold on. I just closed it.
My latency seems to be more stable at the moment. Hopefully it's gonna continue.
All right.
Ready check.
I was on the portal and I didn't get downed, but I might as well check. Oh.
You good? What do you want me on? Wait, sorry, do I?
Yeah, he does.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't quite hear the whole question, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean, yes, I have experience. I'm not sure about your strats, but I'm probably better as my damage is quick as okay. It's getting better, but it's probably not up to par. with you.
I'm just gonna show you what my log looks like when you get downed. And here's where Gabe is. So I have no idea. But both of you got downed at the exact same time, so it looked like you overlapped, but it just doesn't. Hmm. That's even weirder.
Ready check.
killed it with headbutt. Oh.
I'm trying to make them off sync so I can actually step in it.
Another corrupted orb. You know what to do. You will not succeed. What began as
Did it happen again?
Ready check.
No, sorry, that was my bad. I was trying to click on him and activate was next to him.
Ready check.
Nice, barely.
Another corrupted ore. You know what to do. You will not succeed. What began as
Counter push, watch out. Freeze. Got him.
think you weren't the only one that missed spread though. I mean, I think Bjorn also missed his spread.
Ready check.
Is your keyboard still dying, or was that your mouse? Wolfie.
I would.
Sounds like it needs to get cleaned.
How did I get feared off? DC was like barely too slow. I was in the middle of casting my Wild Blow, but there was a road. I thought I was on it, but I think I was like right off of the edge of it. Yeah.
I used glyph, so you must have stripped through. I guess you need more than glyph. You need like multiple stacks.
I guess it's possible if I got hit by like 2 fears at once.
Ready check.
I normally have the Warhorn, but I had a swap earlier for something, so I had to stay on staff so that I would have the block up.
Oh. Well.
Those giants, though, they weren't really grouped up, right? That last roll?
Somewhat group.
Okay. Because I was like trying to make sure my pet would hit it, and I don't know if that was. I was kind of waiting for that.
Ready check.
Prioritize it.
I was waiting for them to be like grouped up enough that I could hit them all three.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not the pet. I used the CA3 and the glyph.
No? I don't know what hit me. Hang on. Maybe. Yeah, I was hit by the void amalgamate, which is the center, isn't it? Yeah. I didn't think I was on my screen, but then, you know, latency is always an issue for me.
Center AoE also hits outside of its
Ready,
range
check.
before it has like a tell for when it's like give it a decent amount of respect, I guess.
It's one of those lies.
Yeah. Always used to get me when I was on Zaitan portals.
Shit, sorry.
Ready, check. Ready check.
don't even know. No, I didn't take the portal. I was like dodging an abomination and then like got distracted by the wave. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Ready check.
Area 3.
I mean, she's like going from like 100 to 0 like instantly.
Is it during like when the actual dragon is up?
Like by the time I actually get into F5 and then start like the 3 CA3 is coming down, but she's already down. People do need to stack tighter on Suon P2, like on Suon P1 and 2 on guitar, or you're not going to get any lag.
Ready check. Ready check. Ready check.
You have less CC.
If it was by less than half a second late. I might have stayed in the red a half tick too long. Not that I picked up damage, but I just didn't get back soon enough to get your buff. Or is that what's going on? Yeah. Nah, I probably just waited a half beat too long in the red.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Can't really see them half the time here. Looks like Ride of the Great Dwarf hit a split second before he blinked back. Anybody wants to log that, or we, died because I didn't do greens? There you go. It does a lot of damage. Yeah.
Is that the same direction each time? I'm not getting. Yeah.
Is that the trail of AoEs from Salt Spray or something else?
So just stand north? You want to be on his right hand side? So on his right. Yeah. Okay. Before he wait, go back. Before he casts was facing middle. Okay.
You want to be on his right, yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna fuck off to the right hand side if that's how it is. I won't. Yeah. Okay. No, I know.
Can't you just stand like on its nose, right? Like right in front of it, between the ball.
There's also other attacks.
I can't cast Greatsword 5 if I'm standing there. It will hit the ball. Can't.
Oh, okay, I see. I was thinking standing there so that anything that you shoot like will go.
No, that's usually where I stand. Like back when I was on Ham, I just stand right in front of it.
Yeah, I didn't realize it depends on the class. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah, but I can't. I can't stand there anymore. That's no. Okay. Yeah, I think I got obliterated by that, and then I never recovered.
Do we know why Naga went down after the scream? Did she not have a heal up for that part? I think so. Like she survived the scream and then went down afterwards. I was just trying to figure out why.
Naga down the first scream and then Lanius down the second one.
They survived the scream, so they definitely had pro. I always use the glyph. Huh?
Oh, they're gonna heal after the scream before spread.
Okay, so I have to make sure to heal her before spread then?
Is your heal skill's the glyph, right?
No, it's the spirit.
Water spirit. Because you could do frost spirit for the the break, and then just have water spirit primed.
I did for the second one.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I saw everyone going down so low. I just usually like to heal everybody up to full, like have like the full burst when everyone's grouped back after the scream. And I was hoping I could do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but if I now that I know where she is, it's a lot easier because if not, like if I try to chase people with heals during spread, they're gonna move, and it's just like a completely wasted heal. I hate so I try to be really careful about using anything then. All right, I have to go. Thanks.
Yeah.
I did top. Nice.
Icon Naga's also third, so our boon DPS and double support Vindicator are top burst. I gotta play a different class. No, like half the time I was dropping Berserk right before Giants. I still don't know like what the ideal situation is there. Like if I have Berserk for Giants, I'll do a lot of burst there, but then I'm gonna be really weak for the first like half of Zaitan, so I don't know. Not half, but you know. As long as we actually phase, which we should do, but Yeah. Like Kralkatorrik's always my worst one because I'm guaranteed to draw Berserk during it, which is funny. Like that dragon, I don't like. It doesn't really matter that it's worse because there's no DPS check at all. And Primordius, it's variable, but mostly depends on if the stealth is clean. I mean, how high were you getting? It's not bad. Like, no. Well, 40 is like the upper limit now. Like, with food swapping, people are barely scratching 40 now. And the nerf hit it by like maybe a nice 7k DPS or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
37 is a good goal.
I fixed your script thing. I had to toggle it off. Find it in the settings, toggle it off and back on. I don't know why. Yeah, but it was just gone.
Low intensity. More more ways to make mistakes, yeah. sometimes it's better to not finish autos before swapping weapons. I don't know how it is for Vindicator, but usually you'd want to specifically end on big cooldowns so that you're not spending more time auto attacking, and that's kind of where the weapon swap gives you power, but like I know there's also issues with Alliance. If you're running Alliance, that it's really easy to interrupt Nomad's advance. I've heard people say they only use Nomad's advance followed by a Great Sword 2 because it's the only thing that doesn't interrupt it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you'll do the animation, but it won't hit if you interrupt it.
Force. Impact.
I think you should only be using swords on Shiro if you're doing like the Alliance Shiro rotation. If you want to camp swords, then I'm not too sure which ones. You probably have to play around with it.
I think part of my issue in not fully understanding is you used to have lower DPS when you take Greatsword with swords, but now they're the same DPS and not an increase. So are you comparing to a single weapon versus double weapons? So like greatswords and swords versus just swords? Okay, there we go. Then now part of the miscommunication for me has been cleared. Okay, so for Vindicator specifically, or for Revenants, sword has a higher attacks per second than greatsword, because greatsword is generally really low. But if possible, greatsword has a higher attack per second with greatsword 5. But generally speaking, in a rotation, you're probably not going to get a greatsword 5 in Shiro. So you always want to be in sword, and Shiro, and greatsword with glint, if you're going to do a weapon swap. Greatsword and sword are fairly close together in damage, with not too much of an increase if you swap it. The main reason you run both a sword, and greatsword is to have access to your big damage skills, or to effectively double your big damage skills, or sword 4 and 5 and greatsword 5. The other stuff doesn't matter as much. So if you are messing up your weapon swaps, or if you're slow in your weapon swaps and legend swaps, and end up going in greatsword with Shiro, you're gonna get a damage loss. But if you're in sword on Shiro, you'll get a damage increase because it's just faster. You're gonna proc impossible odds more. But when you're in glint, it doesn't matter. You can be on sword or greatsword for glint, because all you're doing is using your 2, 4, and 5, or 2, 3, and 5 on greatsword while you do your facet stuff. So, have you been, I don't know, messing up your weapon swaps more, or thinking too much about them? Are you really trying to get a Greatsword of 5 into a Shiro and then swap? Are you trying to get 2 sets of Greatswords 5 or 2 sets of Swords 4 and 5 off? Yep, they should be a little desynced, I think. Actually, no, I don't know what the actual rotation is, but at least with Herald, it should be desynced just a little bit, just like Condi Run. Generally speaking, you're always... Go ahead.
That makes sense to me. Like, I imagine you would want to use a little bit of energy in Alliance on swords before swapping the Shiro, because of impossible odds just draining your energy faster than Nomad's Advance does, but I don't know for sure.
It's been a while since I've played Vindy. I play Herald, so... All I know is there is a delay, mostly to get a final 2 off so you can have a lot of energy for your stuff, or to make sure you have energy for your next legend. But if you're trying to do them at the same time, that's probably a damage law. I don't know. If I played Vindicator more, I could probably answer better, but it's just Herald. Maybe I don't think the rotations are that different, so you can watch me and what I do. Damn it. Messed up. Alright, so the rotation is 5. Yep, that's fine. I never always keep my F2 on when I'm playing QuitarHero, especially since I'm not running Charge Mist. Otherwise I don't have the energy to use my skills.
I used to like doing it before when it did 10 man.
This. Swap, do, and then get 3 of these on. Trying to get another F2 off, another sword 2 off. And my fingers are muscle bound to Condi Spectre right now. Not start with the sword 5. still. And then I just did sword instead. $29's not bad. That's what, a 2k difference? And me not even knowing the rotation. But yeah, the easiest answer, the best answer, I can't talk. The best answer I can give is the more components you put into a rotation, the easier it is to mess them up, so it's easier for you to do less damage. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'll just do another one. I like how it's identical. Other parts for, since you were interested in learning a build, mostly to answer your question there. Depending on the, I mean, you could do it with any build, but something that I've been asked for multiple times over the years is I made a quick scrapper video where it's really simple in what I do, but apparently people really like it in that you go to the golem and then you just kill the golem by auto attacking. You don't just get a feel for your auto attacks, and then you incorporate one more skill into the rotation. Maybe you just auto attack and then you just slowly incorporate more of the rotation into it. So let's say that we don't worry about greatsword, we just worry about how do we do our legend stuff. So let's say if you wanted to learn this build, you would start off by doing because this is what a low intensity build effectively is, just making stuff as simple as possible. One thing I notice, yeah, man, a lot of being good at a certain build in a game, in this game, is speed. Auto chains do suck, but it's part of why special forces exist, to just hammer your head at it and just get a really good feel for the rotation. So like the greatsword auto is thwack, 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 bam, bam, bam. And once you have a really good feel for that, you just start to develop a feeling for what that auto attack actually is, or where you actually are in your auto attack chain. So for example, a warrior axe is bam, 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 bam. My first go-to is sound, but sounds are unreliable. So my next one would be icons. And if the icon is distinguishable enough, then that could be a valid thing. So for greatsword's a bad example, but I mean, you gotta deal with it. So you have the first one with it arcing up into the top left corner. The next one goes to the top right. And then the third is to the bottom right. So whenever you see that your greatsword is towards the bottom, then you know you're on your third one. I also just go by sound, sure, but also feeling and the action bar that goes up here. Bam, bam, pause. Bam, bam, pause, bam. Bam, bam, pause, bam. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Bam, bam, bam. And then once I practice this rotation enough, it just starts to feel right. It starts, you just have the timing down. Okay, it's quick, quick, pause, slow. Quick, quick, pause, slow. Sword is bam, bam, bam. So the first two here is 2 overhead and then a swipe from left to right. So in actual content, I always try to see when, since they're all about the same time, same cast time, it's really hard to distinguish it. I always try to find my character. Hopefully I have like a flashy sword or something. And whenever I see my character go for that swipe from left to right, I know I'm on my last one. So since I know generally how long they take, bam, bam, and then I could do it too. These swords are all the same cast time, so you could go by icon. Whenever it's just the sword icon, you know you're on the last one. Well, from that, it's just a lot of practice. Like, coming in here and seeing, okay, let me go to log, and then bam, bam. And then just trying out different timings to see, okay, when can I actually interrupt it? That time I interrupted it. I tried to interrupt it, but it was just too fast. Interrupt. I know it is a lot of info in the combat log, but for that I'm using the sound cue, and I use the combat log more as a confirmation of like, okay, I'm auto attacking. I didn't get a hit there. It's hit, 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 pause, because I interrupted it. That time it was almost at the end of that yellow action bar, and I didn't get that sound cue of, oh, it hit. Which means you have to wait for that yellow bar to fully complete in order to do a sword 2. You'll see me do the exact same thing when you watch the Candialac Spectre, when I mess around with auto attacks. Just to understand the auto attack timings and how I can interrupt them and if I should or shouldn't. But there's no harm in just coming in here and just testing out stuff. It's not just a, oh, I gotta go and do a rotation here. It's, okay, how does this skill work? 5 is a terrible skill because it pushes you back, but it's a double hit, and that double hit feels really awkward to do. So if you were to do a 5, it takes that little extra bit to do that number 4. And that's so off-putting. While just doing a 4 into a 5, well, it's hard to know if your 5 actually succeeds, because it doesn't teleport you. But that double hit is so awkward for me. Couldn't actually interrupt that. So for Greatsword, your Greatsword 3, even though it's a half cast time, you may as well consider like an insta-cast, if you're like right next to an enemy. It's just that short of an attack. While this one, even though it's a half second, look how long it takes. Short, fast.
The tooltips are just basically not accurate for
What the tooltips are in this game is they always round. So they'll round up, I think.
Well, in the case of like Virtuoso's dagger skills, they say no cast time. They definitely do have a cast time.
Yeah. Maybe they round down. It's not as simple as half a second here. This might be like a 50, like a half second, but this could be, I don't know, a 62, rather a 0.62. And the same goes with just boons and whatnot. It's not actually 16 and a half. It's the actual there is a legitimate actual decimal point value here. It could be 16.3285, but it rounds to 16.5. This is a full second, but does it actually take a full second? Then you have the aftercast to it.
Yep. And quick this and yep.
I know the info we're giving is useful, but it's a little bit more of a complex question to answer. Effectively, in order to get good at a build at the level that we're talking about, at the skill cap we're talking about, it's coming in here and then just really practicing that rotation and understanding all of your skills, how long they take to cast, if you need to interrupt skills in order to save time, because that will ultimately matter. For example, on my Bladesworn, even though I am confident in my ability to play Bladesworn, I'm slow. I did in-depth log analysis, and I am 2 seconds slow versus the benchmark. That's literally, even if I'm doing the rotation perfectly, because I'm 2 seconds slower, I'm like 1,000 DPS less, even though I end at the exact same time. And that all comes down to precise dragon slashing at the earliest possible moment, weapon swapping at the right time, canceling the very large aftercast of Gunsaber 4, making sure you get your overcharge cartridges correct, so on and so forth. Correct.
Technically, aftercast can start before it's filled. Not with many skills, but
Animation after the cast bar is filled. That is not correct. It's more like in the action bar.
it's the animation that's not necessary after you would have gotten damage.
Correct. So that is irrelevant to the actual, like, action orange bar that's shown on the screen. That just tells you how long the full animation takes, animation and aftercast. Correct. You can use the bar to know when to animation cancel. I'll just grab one. Let's go on my Bladesworn.
I think Mesmer Sword 3 is a really good example of that.
Yeah, we're getting
Sword
into
2, I mean.
getting into stuff that, for the vast majority of players, it shouldn't matter. But to eke out that extra damage, this is what all the benchmarkers do. And if you ever want a good number, or to squeeze out that little extra damage, you gotta start doing it. So go ahead. Mean this golem? It's to showcase oh, this apparently not many people know this guy exists. This changes the music. So if I swap it to Guild Wars 2, you should start hearing the music, the fight against Mortemoth. But I can change that to Battle Interior. Or we can have the music of Lion's Arch, if it starts playing. Yeah. It's nice. I can't play properly unless it's the fight of Mortemoth. I cannot benchmark either that or my own music. Everything else just feels so weird. But yeah, so for Cyclone Trigger is an example of, oh, what is it? Showing after canceling, so. Is it 3/4? I'm using Escape. You can't actually weapon stow on Gun Saber. Your only chance to do that is interrupt with another skill, like Dragon Spike Mine, or I'm pressing Escape.
Escape? That works?
Yeah. It's my main weapon stow. Or, it's not a weapon stow. It doesn't work for everything, but it's a very easy skill, very easy key that you can use to do most stuff with.
That is...
It's far, but I'm used to it. So the main thing to look for when I'm doing this is that action bar and whether it fills up, or how far along it gets before I cancel the skill end versus the damage. Like I got to around 3/4 there. That was around half, I think, maybe. I was around 66. 75. Then this is the actual animation. I mean, I'm trying to, it's more just, it's easy. Well, I mean, I guess it's not easy, but it is seemingly inconsistent, which is part of the struggle I have when I'm playing Bladesworn. It's like there I just saved like 200 milliseconds there, and you do that like 10 times in the rotation. I try to do it in real fights. If I have time to focus on my rotation, then yes I do. But if I need to focus on other stuff, I can't care about that anymore.
You have to assume you're gonna have quickness.
I assume I have quickness, but I could practice without quickness, but I don't want to get that proficient at this build to both play it with and without quickness. That's mostly just reserved for my power thief right now. But it is good practice if you want to spend the time to practice without as well. Yeah, I would. And then I wouldn't proc my Thief Rune. My Thief Rune would run out. Have a bad Dragon Slash. I have to rebuild my Thief stacks. Yeah, it's punishing. That's part of the reason why people don't like playing Bladesworn right now. And then some skills just have like a really long aftercast that you can't cancel. Like... just so long. Let me do something else. And that's why Gun Saber 2 feels so awful. It has such a long, uninterruptible aftercast.
The like the new Dagger Berserker Primal Burst skill has a really, really long aftercast, and even if you like weapon swap out of it and you stop the animation, you still can't do anything until the aftercast ends.
I'm talking about Gun Saber 2 and the time in between the damage happens and you get to do something again. There's like a 300-400 millisecond pause there before I can even see an animation that begins. It's like if I did Cyclone into an auto, that's immediate. I can just start doing something immediately. But with number 2, there's that very awkward pause. That's an uninterruptible aftercast. Same thing with Gun Saber 3. It's not as bad, but still a really long casting skill. There's also... Do you have to fully complete for this one? I think you do.
Max 2?
Yeah. Yeah, you have
It's
to
a weird
fully
one
complete.
because it's like, it's so short, but
Yeah.
yeah. It is possible to cancel the second hit. The weapon
Oh, it's
swap or
very
something.
easy to do that.
Yep.
It has a really tiny app. Has a very tiny cast. Yeah. It's very easy to interrupt that skill as well if you have to go and like Dragon Trigger or do something else. I don't think I kept track of my latest Bladesworn log, but... Do I have proper food on? No, I have too much food. I could do a quick benchmark of this and then compare it with the actual log. Assuming I remember the rotation. I actually don't think I remember the proper rotation for those.
Hi there. Use
Hi
the
there.
console to begin combat testing. If you have any inquiries, come speak to me.
Alright, so the opener is... it's been ages. Snow Crows... So I don't do this opener. Lure just a golden system. Okay, so 5-4-2 Dragon Trigger, 4 mine tactical, or just 4 mine Dragon Slash, then 3 swap. And then during the long loops, it is 5-4 and then always 4-5. I suppose the point of it is to just show the aftercast stuff, so we'll just commit to the next one. I didn't get the pause. Oh yeah, this is the awkward bit. Alright, so we now get into the fun part. What I'm doing is effectively the final step that I do when I benchmark a build. Okay. So go here, we go to graph. We go to pan, zoom, 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 zoom. And pull it to the beginning. Then want to align it with the edge. Pull this up. And now we compare it to mine. Layer summary, graph, pan, 1, 2, 4. Pull to the beginning. Pull over here. Throw it up. And now we compare rotations. Okay. So the cast time of that is 599, 604, 321, 240. So I don't know if the benchmark got both hits from that Cyclone Axe, but he took only 240 seconds to do Axe 2, while I took an additional 100 milliseconds. So right off the bat, I just lost a tenth of a second, and that's going to drastically affect my 80% number. So then if we go over here to Cyclone Trigger, my Cyclone Trigger took 243, his took 276. That's more than the, I don't know, the rough wiggle room that there is for a skill to come off. So that means that I canceled my Cyclone Trigger 30 milliseconds faster than the benchmark. How do you know if the solution is to animation cancel is to animation cancel or Q earlier? It's based on my knowledge of the skills themselves. So Axe 2 is a very quick cast time, and I know how long it takes to go. And because this skill is blue, I believe that means that I completed the skill, that it's not an interrupt. Rather, I didn't actually interrupt the skill itself. And there's a very slight border around it. Oh wait, yeah, you can see that. And there's a very slight red border around it to show that it is a skill that was interrupted. While other ones, like this Gun Stinger, doesn't have one, which means it allowed the full animation to cast. So you can see it again here, it's just knowing the skills itself and knowing, okay, do I need to go faster, or do I need to either cancel it faster because of how I know the skill, or did I let it go on for too long? Or queue earlier or something. There is no queuing between Axe 2 here and Dragon Trigger, so I just didn't press my Dragon Trigger fast enough. But here I gained milliseconds, and then Dragon Trigger just lasts X amount of time. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. My Dragon Trigger was 2800 on the dot, but you want to cast Dragon Slash as soon as possible. So because the benchmark did that faster than me, the benchmark gained roughly 100 milliseconds. So right now, we are 5 seconds into the rotation, and the benchmark is 1/5 of a second faster than me. Just because they did their Dragon Slash faster. And then based on the knowledge of the skills, there's no animation canceling Artillery Slash. You can't actually do it. So we have the exact same time here. Same with overcharged cartridges. Do you think you need to use the Dragon Slash right before the gauge? In a way, yes. If you have the timing down very well, you want to use it as soon as possible. Yeah. So if you have the timing down really well, then yes. But then some of these skills just don't have anything you can cancel, like Dragon's Roar. But now we start getting into other stuff. So, Axe 2. My Axe 2 took 401, and theirs took 396. Because I suppose there isn't anything to cancel it. At that point with Axe, you can only Q. But you can cancel it by weapon stoning, and in a way, Dragon Trigger is a weapon stone. But if you Q 2 and 3, you're going to have the full aftercast happen. You could technically press 2 weapon. You can press 2 escape 3 if you really wanted to cancel 2 and to immediately do 3. Like that, which is ultimately faster. But no one's going to do that. Versus just queuing them. Then throw axe, same amount of time, not much. We're not worried about animation canceling. But here we have Dragon Trigger. So now that's something that can cancel a skill. So now we want to look at throw axe. And they're roughly the same. We have the same timing for them. I think throw axe you can't actually... No, you can cancel it, but I think at a certain point, because of how fast of a skill it is.
It's hard, yeah.
It's hard to cancel it. You'll end up queuing, I think. It's that kind of a weird skill. But then we have this next Dragon Trigger, 2763 versus my 2839. That's almost 100 faster. Then we cannot cancel Gunsaber 2. No point in... We're queuing Cyclone Trigger, so that's a 400 millisecond cast skill. But then at this point, there really isn't much to cancel. I think there's an aftercast to Tactical Reload, but it's pretty minor. But at this point, we're just queuing skills, because that's just the skills. That's just how the skills they are. That's just how the skills work. But if we then look at our next Cyclone Trigger, it's a 400 millisecond skill, and this person, the benchmark, did it in 277 versus my 320. So they just gained 50 milliseconds. And even though it's like, oh, they just gained 50 milliseconds here, 100 here, 30 here. Well, over time in a full rotation, it adds up a ton. And as a result, you're now 2 seconds slower. And even though you might end at the right time, their 80% burst might just be really good. And you're like, how the hell can I get that? Why is the Power Chronomancer 80% burst so hard to get? Because everything is extremely precise. Because of their knowledge of phantasms and whatnot.
If you're slow by 40 milliseconds on 10 skills in a row, it's a lot. But...
So then I effectively just go through log review like this to see, oh, is there how do skills work? Are they canceling skills? Where am I slow? Because ultimately with Guild Wars 2, in order to be good at a rotation, you need speed. And the slower you are, even if you're doing a proper rotation or a low intensity rotation, you're going to perform worse than those with better speed. I believe so.
Like a good example of like
there's this. So in general gameplay stats, we can just take a look. So time wasted in seconds interrupting. I had 1.4 seconds. I don't think this is fully accurate, but it's a good gauge. Yeah. While the benchmark had 0.03 seconds. And then the time saved, I saved 1.7, benchmark saved 2.6. So effectively by just looking at this, I have a lot more time to save. And that time in addition to having the correct rotation, is what's going to make you get a better number.
The main issue with that number is like it also takes into account auto attacks. So if you cancel an auto attack, like a quarter of a second into its cast or something, normally that could be considered a good thing, but it'll still show up there as like a bad thing. Yeah. Or if you compare my power vert data versus somebody else's, my numbers are always really different because I don't use auto attack.
What'd you say? It only tells you how much time you could save in the entire log. Probably. I haven't looked that much into it to see how accurate it is because I value looking at each individual skills to just understand the skills themselves so I can help others in their rotation, or I have my habit of, oh, did you die because blah 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 blah, and then because of just my innate understanding of skills and how they work, I can easily look at somebody and how they're doing in a build and seeing what their weak points are.
It's also, if you go to like the outgoing damage tab, let's see exactly this first. Player summary, outgoing damage.
Oh, player summary, outgoing damage. You can also look at damage divided by time spent in animation. This is the big thing I looked at when I was doing Blades 1.
Yep. And minimum, average, max cast time, so you can see like what your best and your worst cancels are, and compare that to benches.
Yep, that's something I've looked at a lot. So if you know you're doing a skill correct, then you can look at stuff like Cyclone Trigger. Okay, my damage per animation time is 32.7, while the benchmark is 34.5. And then you can look to see, okay, is this actually correct? And then I can be like, oh, I must have fucked up somewhere because my Dragon Slashes, even though they have very similar damage contribution, their overall Dragon Slashes just do more damage. But also the damage
RNG is a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but also time spent in animation is a factor. Yeah. They got 2 more hits off with Dragon's Roar, which is why their numbers are higher. Cyclone Axe. I have 37. They have 38. That's not that much, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. And just going through all these, like, autos are a really easy way to have a really funky number here. Like, where's Chop? Oh, my chops are actually better. But then we have Swift Cut. My Swift Cut is 8,000. Benchmark is 10,000.
Is that the first one on Gunsaber?
Yeah. That's just auto attack number 1 on Gunsaber.
Makes sense.
But just no matter what the build is, it's just going through it and seeing, okay, what skills are really funky? What skills probably have a bad aftercast or whatever? Or what makes a build feel bad? And then if you want to learn a build, you look at damage divided by time you spent in animation, make sure you've actually got your casts in, your hits in, making sure that if you're playing Soul Beast, for example, at what point in that long-ass animation will your final hit happen? Because that skill has a really long aftercast, but you also don't really want to mess around with the hits. But at a certain point...
In some cases you want to cancel it too, and that's where it gets really... Like, you want to lose the hits because something else is more important.
Yeah. So if you are fast enough in a rotation, you'll end up getting more hits off with Axe 5 before you have to interrupt it for other skills. But if you're too slow, you're not going to spend a while on Axe 5, and you'd be like, oh, but the benchmark lasts this long in Axe 5 on Ranger, but I want to use these other skills that are already off cooldown. Well, that's an indication you're too slow.
And knowing what is a higher priority so that you can move on from the Axe 5. Especially like with Berserker, it's a big thing. Because Axe 5 is like auto attack DPS, but it's still better than auto attacking because it generates an absurd amount of adrenaline. But
so if we go to the Candia
be ready for the big cooldowns.
So at this point, we're just sharing all these little annoyances and intricacies about the builds, but yeah, probably because it's slow. It's a build that really relies on speed and using skills off cooldown, especially towards the end of a Berserk, to extend it. So for like Candy,
and it has no auto attacks in the rotation at all, so you have to like constantly be exactly on top of cancels and everything. I still end up doing auto attacks sometimes because I make mistakes, but you know.
So like for Candialax Spectre, this has some. There's still more I could probably learn from this build, but you have Twilight Combo, and this skill is easy to potentially cancel by going into Shadow Shroud too quick. I don't go into Special Forces canceling every skill, but I look at more important skills or skills that... I don't know, skills with funky behavior and... Oh. You cancel every skill when playing Berserker, Gnarl?
No, but there are certain skills that I definitely do. Like, since I don't do the rotation perfectly every time, sometimes there's more difficult skills to weapon swap out of. Like if you do an Axe 4 as your last Axe skill, to give yourself adrenaline for your first Arc Divider, if you swap early, you will not have adrenaline and it'll like completely ruin everything. But if you swap early in Axe 2, if you get at least one hit off, you'll still be fine. But Axe 4 both hit at the same time. But Axe 2, it's okay if you cancel it. It's just gonna hurt your numbers a little bit. I do cancel Axe 5 early almost every single loop. The bench, he doesn't actually cancel it anymore, but I think you still gain a little bit by canceling like the last 2 hits or something like that. But the goal is to be finishing an animation the moment something else comes off cooldown, so you can be using your next cooldown. And you'll never have like 2 or 3 skills off cooldown other than right when you swap into the weapon. On Axe, on Greatsword, it's very simple loop every single time. Like you'll never use Greatsword 3 or 5 at all, unless you're like going into Primordius. I do because I'm trying to get stacks, but
generally speaking, the answer to that is what is it? The nerds at Snowcrows or Heartstuck have their spreadsheets that they go and do that work for us so they can effectively provide us with a human task benchmark, how to kill a golem as fast as possible rotation. So,
and for that skill, like, there's a pretty simple reason for it, and that's just that, like, unless you're perfect, you're gonna be stuck in your Axe 5 animation for long enough to the point where it's going to delay your weapon swap back to Greatsword, and it'll delay your rage skills that you'll be stuck in. You'll run out of Berserk early. Basically, like, Axe 5 is a low priority skill. Everything else is a higher priority skill. And, like, the slower you are, like, sometimes I'll cancel my Axe 5 halfway through the animation because I'm just going a little bit slower and I have to get to my more important stuff.
mm-hmm.
Or I'll drop Berserk and then it's all over.
Yeah. Axe 5 really doesn't do a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage in a long period of time, while all your other skills are good damage in a short period of time. So
yeah,
the purpose of Axe 5 is to just give you adrenaline, because it's a really great skill to get adrenaline quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you
it's
have
good cleave, like really good cleave.
Yeah. So whenever you have a skill about to come off cooldown, F1, and you go back and do your other skills. Axe 2 is always 2 hits. Axe 4 is 2 hits. You have Throw Axe, which is 1 hit. You can do an auto attack, which is 1 hit. The goal is 2 hit, 1 hit, bam. 2 hit, 1 hit, bam. 2 hit, 1 hit, 1 hit, bam. And then when almost all of your axe skills have longer cooldowns, you then swap over to Greatsword and do your stuff. It's Arc Divider, and then Greatsword 4 into 100 Blades, because the boomerang of Greatsword 4 and 100 Blades is just enough to get you the adrenaline for Arc Divider, and then swap, and then your axe skills are off cooldown, then you do that. And then you have, whenever you're waiting on axe skills, ideally in the rotation, then you have Wild Blow, and then you have Headbutt, then you have your other skills. And then you just do that over and over until you run out of Berserk.
Yep, and if you go too slow, then you're like Headbutt and Wild Blow will be stuck on cooldown, and you can't use them because you have other stuff you have to use. If you can't use them, then you'll drop Berserk.
It depends on the fight and what I'm playing. So if I'm playing Heal Druid, for example, because I'm very comfortable on the build, I glance down at my skill bar to just see what's available, and then I just look back on the screen and know what my skills are available, and I mostly just look at the entire encounter when playing Druid. It'd be like, if you're driving a car, you glance down really quick, what's my speed? Are there any problems? No? Okay, then since I know my speed, I kind of know how I'm going to be driving for a while, and then you just go down, check it real quick, and then go back and drive, and then you stop when there's a light or other cars or whatever it is. But for builds that I'm not as comfortable on, I look at my skill bar a lot more, and at that point, it's more me focusing on the rotation with the encounter as like a backdrop. And because of just my experience with the encounter, I usually stay quiet, focus on my rotation, and mostly just treat the encounter as an inconvenience in order to perform my rotation. Like, it's just all instinctual. Oh, there's slam. Alright, I'll just go over here and do my rotation. And I won't worry about other people.
Trying to get you to stop doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or, oh, there's a wall. A wall on Soulless Horror is easy to maneuver around, so I'm just going to focus on my rotation. And just make sure my character's in a good spot. So for DPS stuff, or things I'm new at, I look at my skill bar mostly and just instinctually play the encounter without paying a ton of attention to it. And then for builds I am very comfortable on, I use the skill bar as a guideline and focus on the encounter more itself. Otherwise, I don't really pay attention to boons. And I only look at the cast bar or my icons when I need to know what part of an auto chain I am, if it's one of those builds, or if it's like a longer cast time, or in place of a icon for auto attacks, to know, okay, this is when I should be doing something else. This is when I should just let my fingers do the work of pressing 10, 12 skills in a row. Once like Barrage, like on Soul Beast, Longbow 5 gets a certain point within, it'd be like, okay, F3, F1, Longbow 2, swap, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Yeah.
I find I stare at my cast bar a lot more when I know the fight better too. Or not my cast bar, my skill bar. The cast bar is rarely useful because like if you do drop quickness in the middle of it, the cast bar doesn't update.
Yeah. And then in relation to this conversation, part of what makes like playing, like pugging in this game feels bad is because we can't guarantee quickness or alacrity at time, and because we have our own ways of focusing. Okay, so for example, let's say you're playing a build where you don't have to look at your cast bar all the time, or look at your skill bar all the time. Maybe you focus on your cast bar. Maybe you focus on the encounter and what you can do to help the team, or make sure you're properly positioned. But then it's like, why is the skill taking so long to cast? Or this skill should be off cooldown by now. Why is it not? My boon support people are not giving me the boons I need. Shit, now I have to look at my skill bar. I can no longer pay attention to the encounter. I have to look at my skill bar. Okay, where am I in my rotation? What do I need to do? And then mechanic slap. You're down.
My favorite is when you lose the boons for so long that you have to decide if it's better to weapon swap or wait for cooldowns to come back.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I never did the research on whether, like what I had to do with 20% quickness and alacrity.
Yep. And so because of that, I usually play support because I can't really have fun as DPS and be able to help my team and play effectively because I can't trust the boons of other people. But if I'm playing on a healer, then I can just have a single mindset. Okay, I'm pretty confident I'm going to have quickness. I will guarantee alacrity. I know exactly when I won't have alacrity, and I can focus on the encounter. So I don't actually have to shift my focus to multiple places if an inconvenience comes. And then because I'm playing on a support and I just know it really well, I can help make others' lives better by giving them the calls if they have spotty boon uptime, and be like, there's a go to middle, stack on tag for OLCCM. Make sure you dodge. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, thank you. Okay, I can focus a little bit on that mechanic and not on my rotation. And then we get into types of things that commanders should be doing and all of that. One small little question of where do you keep your eyes in combat leads to so much.
Yeah, that thing with the heal brands, that is something that I talk about a lot lately. It drives me crazy, and
yeah.
You know, it stems from several different issues, but I think that the primary one is that people don't really spend enough time learning what gives quickness, how to give, like, I guess if you're giving 150% quickness uptime, it's not hurting. But if you're giving exactly 100% and people are missing some of it, it is hurting. So I think shooting for like the bare minimum boon duration is a problem, and a lot of people do that.
Yeah. Pug Healbrand used to be good, but then ANET changed mantras, so you actually want to use them and charge them in combat, which feels really bad to do with their really long cast times. So
and a lot of people never even adapted to it too.
And because they don't adapt, they're probably not running the proper boon duration, or they forget to press their mantras. and as such, you have shit boon uptime. And on top of that, players are slow, so.
Then there's the issue with like fights that have like boon rip or anything like that. Firebrand is a long duration quickness applier, so like if they do the recommended rotation of using the third charge on their mantra, you've got 20 seconds until they're giving quickness again in like any noticeable quantity, and if you get your quickness ripped during that 20 seconds, you lose your quickness for 20 seconds.
Yeah. But it's also really good if you're doing like stab with a cannon and you are on the boss at the right time. You'll have quickness as you go to cannon and when you return.
Yeah, people that use it properly, it is beneficial. It's just when you're pugging, that's probably not happening.
Yep.
Or like during Doom, if they're going up in green, like that whole time that they're running onto the green, cooldowns are still ticking, so they might as well use their last charge, but probably aren't. And then if they do use their last charge right before Doom's greater mark, then you're not going to have any quickness on anybody until it comes back.
Oh man.
Just little things.
Yeah.
And yeah, Herald, like I appreciate that Herald is the way it is, because it's hard to mess it up if you understand what gives quickness. Of course, when it got changed, a lot of people were still doing the old rotation, not giving any quickness, and I still do see it from time to time. But and Ham has its own issues too with mechanical genius. I don't know. I don't really feel like Alacrity drops all that often with Hams, but I don't see them very often in pugs anymore. I don't know if it's because people don't like playing it or what, but not commonly seen for me. I need to, maybe tomorrow I'll do it. I've been wanting to spend a few hours on Dragon Hunter to see if I can get anywhere meaningful with it. Somebody posted an infographic from Void Lounge on Reddit today.
Yeah.
And like it showed how few people are playing Dragon Hunter and how they're convinced that it's like terrible, but I can't think of a reason why it...
There is no reason that it's terrible.
Yeah, so like I feel like maybe people just aren't playing it, and it's unexplored, and like that kind of makes it more interesting for me, because like even Willbender has a lot more gameplay, and like that one is really hard for me just because any slowness is way bigger of an issue due to the cooldown recently.
I'm not a big fan of the current Dragon Hunter rotation, but in the past, when it actually had a more solid rotation, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so that's something that really bugs me about the Radiance one, when like you start seeing the drift between the traps and the spear and stuff. The Virtues one, like the cooldown on the spear is reduced to 17 seconds, so they're almost the same. But it's backwards, so like the trap will come off cooldown right before you use the spear, so you can do like trap and then spear on your second loop, but then on your third loop this trap will be ready like 2 seconds earlier and then 3 seconds earlier, and it's like,
which is why I don't play it.
Yep. And it's, I think with practice I could get okay at it, but it's definitely also an auto attack count build.
I mean, if it was a build that actually had a more solid rotation, if the cooldowns obeyed for it, then I'd play it.
Oh yeah.
But that ain't me right now. I can support jail because that's the simplest way I can have fun.
That's why, yeah, quick DPS a lot. Like today I ran with my like full boon duration gear for the entire session, and like our DPS players didn't really
Yeah.
show any benefit from it, but
Suck.
it is fine because it's like, I don't know. We didn't have any like crazy wipes or anything like that, which makes it feel a little better, but
Oh, man.
oh yeah, Dragon Hunter at KC is super good. It's a very burst-oriented class. It's like
Yeah.
after your first loop, when you're like, okay, now I have to switch back to longbow, and then you're doing like longbow auto attacks and stuff. It's like, surely they could make this feel better somehow, but
Oh, well.
it's
Waiting
not
until...
the worst build in there, but
I don't really have any builds I'm like super interested in gearing. Next closest thing will be a better heal catalyst. After that, there really aren't any DPS builds. I don't even want to play around with Scourge. I'm just Bladesworn or Power Daredevil. I have no Condi options I like. That's not
I
like
just don't like Condi Daredevil.
I don't like the constant movement, especially through
That
the hitbox.
makes sense. It is really rough on some bosses. It was fun to try to figure out how to optimize it on Deimos, but like the moment you screw up, you just get launched to the other side of the platform.
Yeah. I've got a lot of practice on Dagger 3, just playing it, and a lot of content. And just, when I was a noob at this game before Heart of Thorns came out, there was no DPS meter, nothing really mattered as long as you just had fun. So I had a whole bunch of fun in Silver Waste, just using Dagger 3 on the Morgem Husks, since they take more Connie damage, even though I'm power build, and just stacking 25 or max bleeding stacks on them, just from Dagger 3.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then going into, and I believe at that time I was trying to get a handle on the evade timing for Dagger 3. So whenever I went into the Solid Ocean fractal, because I did fractals every day, I just intentionally go to the tentacles and Dagger 3 evade their swipes, just as practice for
it's a weird evade frame.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect.
And then as I got better at it, I incorporated it into my Ra solos and all that. But then
I never did those.
Like 4 or 5 months after playing the game. Actually, well, first of all, I started off as a shortbow person because I thought that was the only weapon that existed for Thief. But then, a few months later, somebody told me, "Why aren't you running daggers?" Wait, what? There's more weapons in this game? My world has changed! And then, I believe it took a few months of playing, just daggers to be like, wait, I can have both a shortbow and daggers? I can weapon swap? What?
That's so funny.
And then all I did was move around and go fast on daggers. Imagine all the casual players in the game that are like that.
Yep, probably quite a few. Like I know I was definitely one of them. Like early on, I leveled a thief and warrior up to max, And then I got tired of doing map completion on my rangers, so I did cooking to 80 on my ranger.
Or 400.
Well, to 400 to level to 80.
Okay.
I mean, like, and then ended up just kind of sticking to warrior.
Yeah.
Mostly, I think because of the dungeon meta, I was like, oh, people only let me in the group if I play warrior. I like warrior anyway, so I'll just do that.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try guardian. I don't remember like what triggered it, but after I tried guardian, I just played guardian for forever. And then after Heart of Thorns came out, it was like I really liked Berserker and Dragon Hunter and Daredevil. So I just played those three until Firebrand came out, and then I wanted to play Soul Beast, but I really didn't like the green effect that shows around your character. I was like bugged by it. But at some point, I decided to give it like a real shot, and I really liked it. But I mostly just played Banner Warrior or DPS Warrior up until they made it so it was bad. And then every once in a while they'd like buff it a little bit, and then they'd nerf it like 2 patches later. So I'm anticipating it's gonna get nerfed again, and we'll have Greatsword being useless on Berserker again. Which is, I don't know. My big hope is that they make Dagger good. Because I would be okay with doing, like, Axe, what would it be? Axe, Pistol, Dagger, Axe, Berserker, or something like that. Like, that could be kind of cool. But the current Dagger F1 is just so bad that there's no way you can use it. But I think Warrior Greatsword is one of the weapons that needs a revamp more than anything. Guardian Hammer too. Not that I care for it if it does, like I probably wouldn't use it either way, but I'm gonna hop off. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. I suppose I'll hop out as well. See you. All right. I'm gonna end it here. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back